Welcome everybody to another edition of Moya Talks. This is the first edition of April Sustainability Month, Sustainability and Innovation, and we decided to start with our own Claudia Escutia, who is a sustainability expert, and we're very excited to have her as our first guest. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you, Rodrigo.
Right, Claudia, let's start with your career arc in architecture and design. Could you walk us through it?
Well, I first studied at Universidad Nacional, there in Mexico City, and well, that was the very first place where I had like this first relationship with design, and I fell in love with design. And then I got a scholarship also there in the National University, and so I went and studied abroad in Rio de Janeiro. In the Federal University also. And well, then I came back to Mexico, and since then I've been very lucky that I have been in several architectural offices, most of them international. So I'm very happy to be still learning, from different methodologies, different ways of doing architecture, different ways of designing, and so on.
And how did you end up in Moya? Why Moya? And what are your favorite projects right now?
Why Moya? Well, I would say that my favorite part of Moya is definitely the diversity, and also I think that the social aspect, because it's not just about designing here, it's also about what extra you can give to a community. So something I noticed is that's very important in every project, and I really like that.
So you have made a point in your career to push for sustainability. When did you decide to pursue your LEED certification, and why do you think it is important?
Okay, well, I have always been an enthusiast, like in all of the sustainability and green. Some of you know that as a hobby, I like to grow food in my own roof garden. I like to have like these fruit trees, and so I started to thinking, like for example, at least in Mexico City, we have like this wonderful weather. So why can't we have like that closer relationship with the environment? So maybe that's one of the reasons why I started pursuing and wanted to be more specialist about that specific matter.
And when did you decide to pursue LEED after this decision?
Okay, because I found that when I was studying, I found that we had like too many options to be more friendly with the environment. So some of them began with passive design, and then you go up to super with technology, and then you go with resource management, and then you go with what happens, for example, with the construction materials that remain in a site. So there are so many options, and there are so many ways we can help, like not just to improve the quality of life that we can bring with our projects, but also how we impact not just our cities, not just our countries, even globally. What happens with our planet?
You mentioned that you grow food in your own rooftop garden. So my next question is, how do you convince stakeholders, how do you convince clients of these smart solutions that may not seem as fancy as an innovative material or a fantastic design, but that can make a difference?
Well, I think something changed in these years. We used to think on sustainability as a luxury or maybe or even a hobby, but the truth is now it's a need because we have climate change, we have so much things going on globally right now, like economic crisis, or even we really need to adapt. So we need to be very resilient to what's going to happen for the future generations. So for me, it's not an option. It's just a path that we really need to be working on.
And you live in Mexico City, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So how do you see sustainability living in Ciudad Monstruo, as we call it?
Yeah, and that's actually a really, really good question, because sometimes it's very, very hard to manage resources in these huge cities, because how can you control the amount of that craziness, right? And so, but also it helps you to understand that, for example, if I can help with if I help, maybe it's just a tiny grain. But what happens if everybody starts helping in some way? How that comes like a chain effect, maybe. And so yeah. So yeah, the problems that you address in the big cities, for example, I will tell, maybe I will put this example. For example, pollution in Mexico City, it's terrible. So we just have two options. What are we going to do, to lower the levels of pollutions, or we are going to be sick all of the time? So it's not an option, it's a need. We need to address that problem, and so we need to be designing, for example, how can we spend less energy? How can we use materials that do not absorb that amount of heat? How can we treat the heat island in the city? How can we and so on? We can continue.
It takes me back to what Noor mentioned during her interview about using materials that were more traditional in the region, face the high-rise buildings that we have in downtown Mexico City. Are there conscious efforts from the architecture community to push for public policy of sustainability?
Yeah, I think we're moving forward to designing better. For example, we are more concerned about the life cycle of the materials we use in our buildings. So if we know that we are using more responsible producers, I don't know if that's what's that word, but to be more local, for example, and to use materials that have their certifications to ensure that they don't damage the environment, or that they can be reused in the future for another life. That's it.
You're also a teacher at the Universidad Nacional. So I wanted to ask you two questions about it. First, do you think the academic training of architects it's in tune with their needs and with the demands of the job?
Yeah, I think, well, as I was saying, we need to be very resilient. And I think the most important thing we should teach to the younger ones is how to adapt to this craziness, you know, because sometimes I feel like everything is going so fast. Everything is changing so fast right now that the best that you can teach is to be very, very creative and to adapt very, very fast, and also to be a critical thinker, maybe, so that you can have broader solutions to address the problems. So I would say you cannot address new problems with all solutions, right? And so, and speaking about mentorship, well, I think that's really, really needed, because mentorship is not only to be, because learning can be very, very overwhelming. So I think it's very, very helpful if you can also feel like you have some guidance, and also that you're heard, also that you matter, that what you say matters. So it's not, for me, it's not only on an academic field, you know, even maybe here at Moya, we can find someone as a mentor, and we can learn, and we can, you know, just keep growing, because also there's like this line between the teacher and the student, and it's kind of funny because you start teaching but you end up learning. So yeah, that would be.
I would like to learn more about how do you approach mentorship, because it's fantastic that you mentioned that it's a way of learning, but how do you see yourself helping your students achieve a better understanding of the profession?
Okay, well, it's kind of funny, because something that it has been working very well for me as a teacher is that I don't see myself as like, oh, hi, I'm the teacher. You know, it's more like you're part of a group, like just like in the office. It's like we are a team. We have a deadline, and so we're gonna have to work on this, like, you know, together. And so that helps very much with the empathy, and also because they feel like they can reach you up. They can ask questions. They don't see you, you know, like this old figure of the, you know, like the not a very accessible person.
Excellent. Claudia, what do you find innovative about Moya?
Okay, I would say, and I will say it again, but I will say the diversity, because, well, a teacher of mine once said to me, the more you read, the more you travel, the more you eat, and the more experiences you have, the better you will design, right? So I just like to imagine if we have so much diversity in this group. Can you imagine the diversity of the approach, the amount of approach we have to the problems? So for me, that may be the stronger, maybe the strongest capability here in Moya.
That's right. So it translates to how we help the stakeholders and the communities.
Well,
Claudia,
because of.
Go.
Mm-hmm.
Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, because if we have a broader way of thinking, it's I'm pretty sure we will be more able to go to the right answer, right? Because first of all, there's no right answer. No, there is not just one right answer, and so we have many answers, and I know that if I don't know something, maybe someone will just, you know, hit to the right thing.
Okay, one last question before opening the floor for the rest of the people to ask questions is, What do you grow in your garden?
Well, I have some apple trees. I have some oranges. I have some lemons. You should know that lemon is very expensive right now in Mexico City. Yeah. so I'm very lucky to have a tree of lemons. Some lemons, and it depends also on the season, but sometimes I have lettuce, and green leaf plants. And I tried berries, but they are very, very hard in Mexico City because of the height, and so on and so on. It depends. But the trees are always there.
That's fantastic. Right, so I'm going to open the floor and let's see who has questions for Claudia.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question.
Please,
sorry, I think I jumped the queue.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Claudia, this was so lovely getting to know you more, or getting to know you better, I should say. But one of the questions that I had was, how do you think the outlook on sustainability is different in Mexico or Mexico City compared to the US or the projects that you've worked on that are in the US?
I think it's different in every country. It starts because the construction ways are really different, you know. So I think we should have like this main methods to address sustainability, but we need to adapt them to each country, to each community, so that they can really work. Because maybe some codes in the US may not be applicable to the Mexico City.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thanks so much, Claudia.
Claudia,
Thank you.
Before I give the mic to Nur and Cristina, Paola is asking the same question that I was about to ask, and it's like, can you make mojitos in your garden? Like, is there where the Mexican team goes for the happy hour?
She hasn't invited us yet to drink mojitos from her garden.
Okay, I never tried the mojitos, but we should definitely try to do that.
Oh, Claudia, let's start that open session then.
Yeah, we need to do something about that. Right, Cristina, you had a question?
Yes. As environmental friendly and everything should be organic, how do you face all the chemicals for feeding the plants and combat all the pests? Because all the plants usually have bugs. So how do you?
Okay, well, you have to maintain your ecosystem very diverse. For example, it's just I don't know how to say it. The very aromatic plants, they help with the plaques. They just
Lavender,
make them go.
Yeah, lavender. And,
for example, lavender. Exactly, and also to avoid to just grow just one thing, because if you grow one thing, it's gonna be more prone to be plagued. So the more diverse and well, that's it. And maybe grow in there's a method called intense growth, so that you mix different species and different kind of plants, and that works really good for small spaces.
Because
there are
sorry.
some. Yeah.
No.
Go.
You're talking.
Okay, and And some things we cannot control is, for example, the rain. The reality is that, for example, some days are very polluted and it can rain, and sometimes that rain can have acid. So some of those things, maybe you cannot control some of those aspects. When I can, I try to cover the plants when I see that it's going to rain and it haven't been raining for a long time. Also, I try to add some humus to the
Biomatter to the soil.
Yeah, because sometimes when the plants are receiving too much humid or water, it's damaged the plant and the root, and it became mold and bacteria, and eventually the plant is getting sick, right? So
that's right.
I assuming you are not using the regular chemicals, right?
No. I don't use. No, I don't use fertilizers. I don't use any to kill. Even pests aren't bad if the amount of them is very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have lots of bugs, but if they are not too many, they are good for you. So
I have to deal in the spring with all of those. Yeah, but you know, my grandma used to use cafe, because coffee. The caffeine,
that's really,
coffee, yes, and mate, which is a kind of a green tea. When you use the mate and the coffee, because of the caffeine, is killing all the bacteria and also the tobacco. Yeah, I'm smoke, so yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes I put in.
Yeah, really, really good for plants.
Yes, and it's blooming.
Until one day your grandma found all the ants.
Oh, look at you!
Drinking tea. All the ants drinking tea and coffee. So they're never gonna leave. I gotta stop this.
You
English ants.
Big brother.
Noor, you had a question?
Yeah, British. There were British ants and Brazilian ants.
Noor, you have a question? Go ahead, please.
You're muted. Noor.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I have more of a comment, and I really like what you said, that it's very important that you teach the student that tool to adapt. There is a book by Noah Harari. He says like 10 years from now, most of the professions will be extinct, including ours. So it is the best tool to teach or to understand is the ability to adapt to new professions. My question for you is, how do you approach your students when they come to you with like in that brainstorming phase where they don't know where they are and they're being stubborn about their ideas? And so how do you deal with that usually?
Well, of course, you have to use your experience. You go from your experience. You have to have a limit. Like, okay, you can be very open and you can be very willing to hear, like new ideas and so on. But at the end, you're the professor, so you need to say, okay, this is not as broad as we would like to, but we will go this way, and that's it. And also addressing something that was really interesting is that I think that right now we are in a transition. Architecture is transitioning to something right now, because I don't know if you ever wondered that before, but right now you're spending so much time in front of the screen. And so we're becoming more and more like maybe a programmer, maybe more a coder every day. We're more closer to technology than before. So yeah, just as Yuval Noah said on the 3 books he wrote, yes, it's changing, but not just architecture. I think everything is changing right now.
Thank you.
Paola had one last question, Claudia, and she asked, what is your favorite garden in Mexico City?
My favorite garden. Well, it's kind of funny because I live very, very close to Viveros de Coyoacán. And so if you've been here in Mexico City, you know that that Coyoacán is like a small town in the middle of the city, but you don't feel like in the city. So I know it isn't that flowery garden, but for me, just to go out to that garden and to walk, like maybe in the morning, and then you can go out and you will find like these little places who sell coffee and a good walk, and that's it. And I'm happy. so that's my favorite garden. And of course, there's another botanical garden inside of the National University, and that one it's so cool.
That is a fantastic one. I've been there. Claudia, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for this interview. And thanks everyone for another Moya Talk. We really appreciate your participation.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Claudia. It was lovely.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Bye.
You need to see pictures of your garden.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So can we meet in 5 hours so we can have a happy hour over there?
Yeah.
No?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, of course.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.